All right, guys, I am back home. Yes, I am back in the greatest country on earth, the US of A, okay? Where we are now going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming of me having good audio quality for my videos. As my mic broke while I was overseas, so some of my videos had very poor audio quality, and I apologize for that. But, being out of the country for a little bit, guys, it's not my first time, but when I do go, it makes you appreciate the little things about this country and what really makes this country great. Hot water, okay, hot showers, right? Good cell phone service. People not ask you for money every 5 seconds when you go out the door, when you literally leave the house, right? And also not being robbed by the police in the middle of the night, right? Just because you're out too late. Those are the little things that you appreciate not having to deal with in the U.S. Again, every time I leave this country, I'm always reminded of how blessed I am to be an American, okay? But, for this story and this topic today, we have somebody who refuses to call out a country for its flaws. However, will call out America for its flaws quick, fast, and in a hurry, because that's an easy way to make money nowadays, hating on America. It is not profitable to be patriotic anymore. And the person that we're talking about today is no other than LeBron James, right? LeBron James, who Boston Celtics player Enes Kanter keeps calling out about his silence on the issue of China and the alleged slave labor / human rights abuses that are going on in that country that LeBron James refuses to acknowledge, but always seems to want to speak up against so-called social injustice in the U.S. As Enes Kanter wore some sneakers against the Lakers that, in my opinion, sends a very, very, very direct message to Mr. LeBron James, as it has a depiction of the king, right? King James, LeBron James, bowing down to Xi Jinping, right? The president of the Communist Party of China, right? With money bags behind him, okay? Basically saying that LeBron James is a sellout. Okay, he's a sellout. And LeBron James is not the only person that Enes Kanter has called out about their relationship with China. He also called out Nike as well. Take a look.
Dear Nike, your company says that you are making a positive impact in our communities. And that is true. Yes, you are. Here in the United States, Nike stands with the Black Lives Matter. Nike stands with Stop Asian Hate. Nike stands with the Latino community. And Nike stands with the LGBTQ community. And Nike remains vocal about injustice here in America. But when it comes to China, Nike remains silent. You do not address police brutality in China. You do not speak about discrimination against the LGBTQ community. You do not say a word about the oppression of minorities in China. You are scared to speak up. Who makes your shoes in China? Do you even know? There are so many forced labor factories in China. For instance, Uyghur forced labor in modern day slavery, and it is happening right now in China. Millions of Uyghurs are currently detained, sold, and assigned to work at forced labor camps, prisons, and factories across the country. They are under constant surveillance, with long working hours and poor living conditions.
All right, guys, so you can see that that's Enes Kanter calling out Nike, right? Who, in my opinion, is the overlords of the NBA, and by extension, LeBron James, right? The totem pole kind of goes like this, right? It is Daddy China, right, led by Xi Jinping, and then it is Nike, and then the NBA, and then LeBron James, right? Maybe LeBron James and NBA are interchangeable, but I'm just saying that's the totem pole of people who are actually running things, right? So whatever China says, Nike does, right? Which means whatever Nike says, which is what China says, the NBA does. And by extension, that's what LeBron James does, right? So Enes Kanter is calling it out because Nike claims they support social justice. However, again, like LeBron James, they are silent on the issue of what's going on in China. And Enes Kanter actually went on Twitter to call out the king as well, not just on the court, playing against LeBron James. He also said on Twitter, quote, money over morals for the king. Sad and disgusting how these athletes pretend to care about social justice. They really do shut up and dribble when big boss China said so. Did you educate yourself about the slave labor that made your shoes, or is that not a part of your research? That's a funny question. Because honestly, guys, I'm not sure LeBron James is actually educated on the issue, right? He claims he reads stuff, just like he claimed he read that Malcolm X book, even though he's been on the first page since he started reading it, which has been forever ago. But what I do know, guys, is that I am enjoying every single second of one of LeBron James's colleagues calling him out about what's going on in China. And because Enes Kanter has really taken this issue on and been so public about what's going on in China and the NBA / LeBron James / Nike's silence on the issue, eventually the king has to answer some questions, right? And LeBron James was actually asked about this. And I want you guys to actually listen to LeBron James's response to Enes Kanter as he basically tries to sidestep the whole issue of China by attacking Kanter as a person. Take a look.
LeBron, do you have any reaction to Enes Kanter using your likeness on his shoes in his advocacy for human rights?
No, I think if you know me, I don't really give too many people my energy, and he's definitely not someone I will give my energy to. Trying to use my name to create, an opportunity for himself. Definitely won't comment too much on that, if any, and that'll be where I lay that at. He's always, kind of had a word or two to say, in my direction. And as men, if you got an issue with somebody, you really come up to him. He had his opportunity tonight. I seen him in the hallway. He walked right by me, so,
Thank you.
All right, guys, so that is essentially LeBron James sidestepping the actual issue, right? Because the issue that Enes Kanter is bringing up is, why are you silent on what is going on in China in regards to their alleged human rights abuses, but you always want to speak up about so-called social injustice in America, right? That's what the actual conversation is about. But LeBron James decides not to address the substance. He decides to address Enes Kanter basically as a person, to say, hey, you know what? He's not worth my time, right? He's not somebody that's worth addressing. He's simply trying to get clout off of my name, right? That's what he's saying, okay? When the issue is not you as a person, LeBron, right? Per se, it's more about your silence on China, right? Now, I will say before I get into the rest of my commentary here, that LeBron James is right about one thing, that Enes Kanter actually should have addressed LeBron James face to face, right? If he actually saw LeBron James in the hallway and he has this big issue with LeBron and his silence, he actually should address LeBron James like a man and ask him to his face, why is it that you're ignoring this issue, right? So I do agree with LeBron James there, but again, that doesn't excuse LeBron sidestepping the issue, because LeBron James always has something to say when it comes to social justice issues in the United States, right? Or so-called social justice issues, right? He had a whole lot to say about Kyle Rittenhouse, okay? He accused Kyle Rittenhouse of fake tears, implying that he probably buys into the mainstream liberal narrative about what happened that day in Kenosha, that 95% of that narrative is false, right? He probably buys into that. He had no problem speaking up about that. He had no problem speaking up about the Ahmaud Arbery thing, where he basically implied that black people can't even go jogging without worrying about being shot by white people, right? Which, again, it's untrue, right? In my opinion, one situation doesn't mean that that's happening all over the country. Now, if you can pick out numerous situations in which that's happening, then we'll have a conversation about that. But that's not happening like that, right? He had no issues speaking out about what happened with the Ma'Khia Bryant situation, right? In which he basically tried to dox a police officer who saved a black girl's life, right? Who saved the black girl's life from being stabbed to death. He spoke out about that. Again, in most of those issues, he's wrong and he's uneducated on the issue, but he had no problem speaking out about it because he got the go-ahead from Nike to say something, right? It was cool for him to say something about that. But when it comes to China and the alleged human rights abuses over there, he's silent, right? And people will say, well, he's an American. He's not Chinese. So therefore, he has no obligation to speak out about what's going on in China. And I would say, no, that's not correct. Because his constituents, his fans, how he gets paid, still comes from China, right? The shoes that he wears and he markets to people in America comes from China. They're made by Chinese people. Allegedly, some of it is made with slave labor. Okay? So not only does he make money from fans in China, right? He gets a lot of everything that he's wearing from China, the things he sells in America from China. So yeah, in my opinion, I think that he should speak out about what's going on in China if there's injustice being brought upon citizens in China, people that are fans of his and that help feed his family, right? That help cash his paycheck, right? He should speak out about that. It doesn't matter whether or not he's actually a Chinese citizen or not. He's so in bed with that country that, in my opinion, he does have an obligation to the people over there, especially considering the fact that he's doing it in America, right? It's one thing if LeBron James was silent about the things going on in America, right? If he took the Michael Jordan route, I wouldn't say anything, okay? Because at the end of the day, business is business, right? But it's the hypocrisy of it. It's the hypocrisy about speaking out about America, but not speaking out about China. That's the issue. If he said nothing about America, I couldn't say anything about him not saying anything about China. I wouldn't expect him to say anything about China because he's an athlete. He's not a politician. He's not an activist. He's an athlete. Athletes should play, right? They should play and worry about their sport. But he has used his platform as an athlete, right, in an NBA setting, in a work setting, to speak out about social justice issues in the United States. So therefore, I expect him to do that for China, right? But see, the difference is that in America, social justice is simply a hustle, right? It's a hustle. It's a grift. You can make money off of it. It's profitable to say that America is a bad country, that you hate America, that America is systemically racist, that black people are under attack in this country. You can make money off that stuff, right? That's what all these companies are doing. That's why they're woke, right? For money. But in China, on the other hand, being woke is not profitable because the country and the money in that country is controlled by the government, right? The government is paying the NBA and Nike and LeBron, right? If the government says, we're cutting y'all off, your games can't be played on our TV, you can't sell your merchandise in our country, they lose all that money, right? So therefore, because of the money involved, they're not going to say anything about it. They're going to ignore it, okay? Which tells you everything you need to know about how they really feel about social justice. They don't really care about it, right? They don't care about what happens to the Breonna Taylors of the world, the George Floyd, Amar. They don't care about that stuff. All they care about is the opportunity to make money off of it. It's the same thing I've been telling you guys about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, right? Why is the mainstream media so focused on Kyle Rittenhouse and not Ahmaud Arbery when they claim that they care about Black lives so much? Well, the reason why is because they can't generate outrage over the somewhat likely outcome of what's going to happen with the Ahmaud Arbery trial, right? They can't generate outrage over that. And if they can't generate outrage, then they can't get clicks, which means they can't make money. On the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, everybody with two brain cells knew that that was self-defense, right? They knew that he was going to get off. So the mainstream liberal media knew that. So they go out here and they generate outrage over what they already know was going to happen so that people can watch their news shows because they're outraged and get clicks and money. That's what it's about. And I guarantee you, if the Ahmaud Arbery trial doesn't go the way that the mainstream liberal media wants, all of a sudden they'll make that the biggest issue in this country after ignoring it for so long. Okay? At the end of the day, man, all this social justice stuff, it is purely about money. These people literally do not care about any of this stuff whatsoever. And I'm glad that Enes Kanter is calling out LeBron James on this issue. And LeBron James continues to be a coward by not really actually addressing the real issue of what's going on in China. But instead, he'd rather attack Enes Kanter as a person, implying that he's not worth his time, that he's just doing it for clout. When you're the one that's actually really doing it for clout, right? You're the one that's pimping social justice for clout. You're the clout chaser. What Enes Kanter is doing is not profitable, right? He's not going to make any money off of that. If anything, he's putting his career in jeopardy. The NBA might decide, hey, you know what? We can't sign this guy anymore because he's getting in the way between us and our money, right? If China says we don't like Enes Kanter, the NBA, again, they might get rid of him. They might get rid of him. So, again, this is some brave stuff going on for Enes Kanter. I support what he's doing. I hope he keeps calling out LeBron, and I hope that LeBron James continues to be pressed on this issue. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.